Hello and welcome to another episode of Casting Views, and I'm excited about this one tonight because we are going to do something a little different tonight. So not going to mess about wasting any time. I'm going to introduce who I've got with me tonight. So I've got Joey and Alex of the Game Club Pod. So hello to the two of you.
Oos. Yeah, Game Club Pod. Hi, Alex.
Hello.
Hi, Dan.
I feel the Game Club Pod is taking over this podcast, but I'm here for it. So
Casting Game Club Pods is what I'm hearing.
Casting game views. So we're going to do something a little different tonight. I remember I was thinking about this subject, and I then mentioned it to you, didn't I, Joey? And I think you seem to really want to do this, which then made me think we should definitely do this.
It's a good one. It's a really good one, and any opportunity to turn it into something competitive is good fun with me.
Yeah, whoever loses is getting takeout back and shot.
Well, then we've obviously got Alex there. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
So I'm worried now. I need to make sure he wins. And then we were going to have Tim, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. But I think that's going to make it less chaotic for me. I think I'm already going to be a bit nervous about this tonight.
That's no reflection on the number of people in the room. It's just the fact that Tim isn't in the room.
But so like I said, it's going to be something a little different, and it's almost going to be the first quiz of my show. So we are going to do the origins of phrases or common everyday phrases that we probably use and never thought about it. And we're going to see if we can, between us, work out where the origin comes from. So we've chosen about 5 each, and we'll put those to the others. Now, the first question I had for you, though, is this something you normally think about? Because I'm often quite obsessed with where words or phrases come from. So is it something that you two have ever thought about, or is it just me?
I think it depends on the context, really. So the thing, I have never thought about the origins, but what I really like about everyday phrases and sayings is how they don't travel. So, for example, a family member of mine went to France a few years ago, and the taxi driver said how much the fare was, and she said, "Oh, you're pulling my leg." And the taxi driver thought my family member was accusing the taxi driver of assault. So I think I like how little they travel.
Well, that's one of mine, and it's not about assaulting taxi drivers, just in case.
Well, there's my guess out the window.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Alex, what about yourself? Do you ever ponder... Well, I was going to say, do you ever ponder what you're saying? But what I mean is about...
No, I never think about what I'm saying. It's straight from mouth to the outside. It never touches my brain. But not so much. Some phrases you sort of think, well, what the hell does that mean? But that's as far as I get. I never bothered to sit there and research until about 2 days ago, where I started looking into mine, and I thought, I need to do this a lot more, because some of this stuff is it's not what you'd expect, and it's interesting to find out.
Thank God you don't research them, otherwise this episode would be very short.
Yes, I know the answer to everything.
Well, we're going to have a short break before we get into it, but the one thing I do want to say, especially with mine, is I did very little research, so the answers I'm going with are the first ones I found. So, I don't think you listen to Casting Views for exact scientific or literary knowledge, but there you go.
Yeah, no, research was a strong term. It was half an hour on Wikipedia.
Half an hour?
I'm a slow reader.
I didn't mean to give you all that much homework, but yeah. Before we get stuck into this, let's hear from some friends of the show. We're going to hear from Sugar Coated Murder.
Hey, Ann Barner. Hey, Karen Beatty. We need a promo. Like where we talk about what we do on our podcast.
On our Sugar Coated Murder podcast? Like how we love to bake and talk about murder?
That's what we need to talk about.
There you go.
I think we've talked about it. Y'all find us on all your favorite listening apps.
Stay sweet.
And don't murder.
Because if you kill people,
we will talk about you.
Hi, I'm Slade from the Game Club Podcast, and you're listening to Casting Views, a member of the PodPack Collective.
And we're back. And on that little bump you just heard there, hi to everyone else in the PodPack Collective, because I keep forgetting this is a collaboration now, really. Right, so I want to get stuck into this because we've got a few to get through, but I'm going to pull the plug at a certain point of time if this is carrying on into the wee hours, as it were. So, as I said, origins of phrases. Now, as a little taster for those listening to see what we're talking about. So last week I was messaging a friend of mine and I said something and he didn't respond. And I then wrote back and said, oh, the above was said tongue in cheek, right? And I thought, well, that's an example of it, right? I thought tongue in cheek, you don't put your tongue in your cheek when you say it. So where did that come from? And I found two kind of examples here. Now, one is saying it was actually equivalent in the 1700s, they say, to a gesture of contempt, such as giving the finger to someone. The other phrase is saying if you did that, you create a bulge in your cheek with your tongue, which the gesture means that words just spoken were not to be taken seriously. Therefore, it was meant to be like a sly wink to mean we know better, don't we? And also, if you were sticking your tongue in your cheek, it would mean that you were saying the words with a not straight face, so i.e. in all seriousness. So that's just something what I was saying about something we probably all say fairly regularly. But yeah, it kind of got me thinking where it come from. So let's get this quiz going. I'm going to endeavour to keep scores, but at the end, I know I'm not going to keep count, and I'm just going to pick one of you as the winner.
I'll keep count. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got Quizmaster Joey.
Can I just ask before we kick off? Is it a point per correct answer?
Yeah, let's just go for a point for correct answer, and maybe we could do if we think someone's almost there. Let's give a half point.
Half points is where it gets complicated. I think be ruthless, Dan. All or nothing.
Well,
Joey
no,
can't do fractions.
If you're keeping the score, I'm happy for it to get complicated.
I can't do fractions. Alex is right.
Okay, how about then 2 points for a spot on answer and 1 point if none of us gets it, but they give the best answer that wasn't correct.
As decided by the person who told the phrase. Okay, I like it.
Right, and with that, I want one of you two to go first. So Joe, should we let Alex go first?
Yeah, go on then. Only because he entered the call and flicked his hair so majestically.
Oh, well, now I've got to think of which one. I've got one I want to save to the end, but now I'm not sure if we're going all the way, so I might just start with that
Excuse me? Now that's another phrase you could probably...
well, we'll see where the night goes, shall we? Right, this is by far my favourite that I've looked into. Turn a blind eye.
Turn a blind eye.
To ignore undesirable information.
Oh, do you know, I think I might have an idea of this. So, Joey, that means you go.
So I don't have an idea. I think it comes from an accountant who only had one eye, and when someone was frauding up their taxes, he was like, "Oh, I saw that with my glass eye, so it doesn't count." That's how taxes work, right?
100%.
Well, that's the thing, because turn a blind eye means you're going to let something happen, doesn't it? You know,
yeah, it's like ignoring a situation you don't want to particularly partake of, or ignore information that you don't like the look of.
But I think this is the only one, because I know we did allow each other. We kind of put the lists out, so we made sure we weren't duplicating. I think this is the only one out of all of them, including mine, where I think I know a little bit of the origin of it. Now, I think it's something to do with war. I think it was something to do with somebody who, I can't remember, who only had one eye or could only see out of one eye. And it was something about a plan that happened.
Was it his accountant overlooking his tax discrepancies?
I mean, you've done a far better way of explaining it. So, yeah, but I think it's something about a plan happening or something happening on the blind side of this person.
I mean, you are pretty much there. So we're going to go back to the 1800s, to the Battle of Copenhagen. So it was a war, it was a battle. They obviously used to use signal flags to give orders to the armadas and the fleets and everything like that. Now, there was an admiral who, he was a bit of a shy guy, he wasn't very forward, and he wanted to stop the attack of the British Navy. Vice Admiral Horatio Nelson decided he didn't like that. He didn't want to stop attack and he wanted to keep going. He'd previously lost an eye in a battle, and so he took his telescope he'd been told about these signals, but he didn't like the idea, so he put his thing up, put his little spyglass up to his bad eye and said, in court afterwards, I didn't see the signals. And he continued the attack to success. He won the battle because he basically went, I'm not listening to that.
Well, I was going to say, I think Joey's come up with a better explanation now. I was,
but you were right.
Hard and fast
all right.
So you're right.
Do you know what? I've got to be ruthless. Yeah, give me that point.
2 points, Dan.
2 points.
I do like the idea that at the end he was in court after, or the wartime equivalent of court, and he was told, "Why did you ignore it?" And his quote was, "I have a right to be blind sometimes."
It's like football managers, isn't it? I didn't see that. Can you tell me what you thought about your play doing this? I didn't see it.
Didn't see it, yeah.
Very good. Dan, do you want to go next or do you want me to
No,
go?
no. The honour is all yours. Go for it.
Okay, so I am going to start with Bury the Hatchet.
Now, I have some idea of this, so I'm going to let Dan go first.
Okay, I can only think. So Bury the Hatchet, although we've just said a couple of times that none of these should follow any logical sense, but I'm going to try find the logic. Hatchet feels like something that's quite violent, and it feels like maybe in times of yore where you'd settle disputes with a hatchet, if you wanted to make up, you would bury your hatchet as a sign to say you can approach in peace.
Okay, Alex?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. It was, I think, was it from like the founding of America, where it's something like that, but it was that long ago, where as a sign of sort of goodwill and you're safe in my village and I'm safe from you, they would literally bury their weapons.
So Native American tribes literally buried a hatchet as a symbolic gesture of peace. So there you go. Both of you, another 2 points for you, Dan, and 2 for you, Alex. Congratulations.
Yay!
I was going to say we're all off the mark, but
Not all of us.
The accountant let you down.
They can't let me down.
my first one is going to be to spill the beans.
Spill the beans. So it means to let something out and tell the truth, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's like an oops, I shouldn't have said that.
I think that in the Great Bean Famine of 1989, there was bean smugglers who would smuggle their beans, but in bags that were covered by things. And the guards knew, but they weren't allowed to touch the bags of beans because the law at the time wouldn't prohibit them to do that. So they said, come on now, spill the beans. And they're like, well, here you go. And they spill the bag and all the beans go out. And that ends the famine of the bean famine of 1989.
I feel like I'm on my own Two Blokes from Blighty episode. I love this.
So as a thing here, if I don't know the answer, I'm going to make it as ridiculous as possible, but progressively more ridiculous.
Oh dear.
In the hope that I get that 1 point.
Alex, what's your caveat? What's your explanation? Sorry.
Something ancient times, they used to use like abacus and stuff like that to count and do accounting. He's back. The accountant's back. I think it was something where they used to use beans to keep track of money, and someone spilt it all, and then they all went, well, now we don't know how much money we've got.
See, I think I'm going to have to give the points to Alex.
Yes!
It's not quite right. And again, to anyone listening, I'm not a historian or a linguist or the etymology of phrases.
It's an etymologist.
Yeah, this is where I've taken it from, and this is final then on this show. But the accounts have it originating in ancient Greece, where votes were made by placing either a white or black bean in a vase, and depending on whether they meant yes or no, the beans were later counted to reveal the result. If the vase was accidentally or deliberately knocked over, the beans would be visible to everyone and the result would be known before it was meant to be, hence you'd spilled the beans.
And it wasn't anything to do with the bean famine
Bean
of
famine.
It's a little bit before 1989.
35 years ago, that famous bean famine.
That we all learned about in school.
Yeah. Tell me if you want score updates. Maybe we'll do it at the end of next round. But have you ever watched Big Fat Quiz of the Year?
Yes.
Where there's always one team that just doesn't do it and the last one is worth 40 points for no reason whatsoever. That's what I'm hoping our host today might do.
Well, yeah, I'll make a note of that. Okay. Right, so we are back to Alex then, right?
Hello. Bite the bullet, which is obviously to accept impending hardship or to refuse a point of something. And Joey's already smiling, so that fills me with dread.
So shall I go first on this one?
Yeah, no, please go first.
And I can't compete with things like the Great Bean Famine of
Well,
18, whatever.
just you wait till well, hear what I've got cooking now.
Bite the bullet again. I can only think of it. So bite the bullet means you do something and get on with it, kind of thing. The only thing I could think of was it was almost like a pain relief or something. So they used to say like bite down on this twig or this belt when they were like operating on you. I can only think it was similar, but bullets are quite small, so I can't imagine that to be very good for the teeth. So you'd probably also need some dental work.
They're also not particularly pliable like a twig or a bit of leather or anything like that.
So now I've actually said it out loud for the first time. It's a horrifically bad answer, but yeah, Joey.
So
that's mine.
In 1989, during the Great Bean Famine, people were looking for alternatives to having beans on toast or beans with their jacket potatoes.
Still doing spill the beans. You can't spill the beans on the toast.
Well, this is it. They're looking for alternatives, but no one actually liked eating. There was no beans, but there was copious amounts of weaponry and bullets. So instead, they put bullets in their baked potatoes, and it's like saying you weren't asked to like it, you were asked to eat it. So they said, well, I guess I'll bite the bullet, and they get the bullets over and done with, and then they're left with a lovely jacket potato. 35 years ago, that was.
As much as I love Joey's answer, it's Dan's points because he's pretty much on the nose with it.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, it was first recorded in an 1891 novel. So you're getting closer, Joey. Your dates are getting better.
I just saw just Joey's reaction here.
Basically, it is the practice of biting on a bullet to cope with pain for an unanesthetized operation. I don't know why you wouldn't just use a bit of cloth or a leather strap or literally anything that isn't a bullet, but the evidence is sparse, but apparently does exist. Come at me, comment section.
Well, there you go.
Of course, I knew that. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't try to talk me out of my answer at the end of my explanation.
Okay, so I'm next. My one is paint the town red, which means go out and have a bloody lovely time.
Paint the town red. You see, I always have connotations that if you're painting buildings, it's often for something bad. Oh, no. I thought I might know. No, because that would be bad. Sorry, I'm just having thoughts out loud because I was thinking, all right, because if you go into debt, you go into the red. So if you're going out painting the town red, you're having a great time, which means you're spending a lot of money. So you are painting the town red because you're getting into debt as you're going along all the pubs and clubs.
Oh, that's better than mine.
That's a good one.
That's a lot better than mine.
Okay, Alex.
All I can think of is getting just a little bit too drunk and getting into fights and literally making the town bloody as you progressively get more and more drunk.
So your idea of a good time?
I didn't say it's my idea of a good time. I'm saying it's my idea of the origin.
Okay, so it comes from yonder, because I don't have a specific date. In a town called Melton Mowbray, there was a tradition after the Belvoir fox hunt tradition that the huntmen would drink and celebrate. And one year it ended with huntsmen taking out red paint and throwing it up the front of buildings and houses in Melton Mowbray. So they literally went out, got drunk, and painted the town red.
God, they've come a long way from making pork pies, haven't they?
No, they've gone back. There you go.
So it was just mindless vandalism.
It was, yeah, and that's a good time. But Dan, your explanation was so well thought out that I'm going to give you the points. You get 1 point for that one.
I was going to argue that Alex should have had a point, but I've got to get out of that wanting to do that. So this is brutal, right? So
yeah, be brutal.
All right, thank you. Sorry, Alex.
It's all right.
So my next one is straight from the horse's mouth. So, when we're saying we've overheard something, if you say you've heard it straight from the horse's mouth, that's generally from the source. Oh, actually, I better make sure I'm not saying the answer. But yeah, you can trust what I'm saying.
Okay. Alex, would you like me to go first, or do you want to go first? I'll give you a clue.
Got...
I don't know the real answer.
Right, well, I'll go first while you think of your bullshit. Back in ye olde days, in 1989, dentistry wasn't all that great. We didn't have false teeth and all of that stuff. I think they used to literally pluck teeth out of a horse, and then, whether telling the truth or lying about it, would sell it to dental patients. And then it became sort of, this has come straight from the horse's mouth.
Interesting, yeah.
What year did you say that was, Alex?
That was definitely 1989.
Okay,
Definitely not like the Victorian era or Edwardian or anything like that.
My one is in 1988. A stable boy was told and went to his, I don't know what the boss of a stable is, but whatever that is, he goes to the boss of the stable and goes, I've heard it on good authority that next year your beans are not going to grow. And I'll come off the bean harvesting. But the guy said, oh, you're a stable boy. It's ridiculous that you would know that. And then they didn't grow. And when they said, oh, how did you know that? He went, well, the horses told me. So what do you mean? He said, well, my source, it's straight from the horse's mouth. And he was the first horse whisperer.
See, right. I will.
Why didn't we have Tim on?
I will give you the answer. And I'm going to have to make a decision because neither of you are quite right. I'll be polite. So the phrase has come from, one origin is that it seems to have originated in racing circles as kind of a joke. A good betting tip was said to have come straight from the horse's mouth, since the horse would know what best kind of chances it had in a race. But
so the horse was there. The horse was there going, "Oh, I'm not feeling very well today. You better not bet on me."
Actually, this proves that I should do a bit more reading before I start pressing record. But another explanation is to do with horse teeth. When selling a horse, the owner might lie about its age, since the only totally reliable way of determining a horse's age is examining its incisors. The truth about the horse's age is best checked by looking at its mouth. So the truth comes straight from the horse's mouth. So, Joey, I think on that basis, I think it's got to be Alex being closest. Oh, you put a fist in the air in triumph there.
Got excited.
I don't know why I thought putting a horse's tooth in a human mouth would be a good idea, but
no, I mean,
it was
I wasn't
1989. It was crazy times. They were dealing with not with the potato famine, with the bean famine.
Yeah, that real bean famine.
Okay, so tell you what, before we go back to Alex, Joey, can we have a score update?
Yeah, so in last place is Joey with 0. Then it's Alex, who has 5 points, and Dan, who has 7.
Anyone's game.
Well, remember, the last round
apart
is 40
from me.
points. Well, the last round is 40 points, but I'll have to make sure it's me that goes last. Otherwise, if it's you can't get the points. So,
Okay.
Right.
Just Joey gives his own answer.
Oh, it's Alex again, isn't it?
It is. Let's go with Break the Ice.
Joey, I think you should go first.
So break the ice as in start the conversation.
Yeah, like get past that awkward stage.
Okay. So, once again, I have no idea. I think break the ice when intrepid hikers go across Antarctica and or Alaska and they come across a polar bear, but they haven't been speaking for a while. They think, I know what's a good conversation starter. I'm going to put this polar bear through the ice. And they went, well, how are you going to do that? I'm going to break the ice. So they break the ice in order to become friends again.
But by murdering a polar bear.
No one said murder. All I said was put it through the ice.
Yeah. I mean, no animals were harmed in the making of this episode. I guess the polar bears would like the water, but it's just the way you said it, the intonation you said on put it through the ice.
It's going to be like Tekken, basically. They're not going to just crack the ice. They're going to body slam the polar bear through the ice in order to start a conversation.
Some Arctic explorers just suplexing polar bears.
Sometimes I start speaking and words fall out of my mouth and it ends up with someone suplexing a polar bear through ice.
Say it with confidence, though, right? Say it with confidence.
Yeah.
I think
I'm so sorry, Dan.
No, well, it'll be clear. Yeah, actually, remember, this isn't a Two Blokes from Blighty episode. Come on. It will become apparent that I don't know the answer to this either. But what I'm going to say is that in the Antarctic or Arctic or wherever,
or Alaska.
yeah, there's a building that serves as a pub, and in the harshest of winters it would get frozen over and people would queue outside and they'd be getting annoyed because they can't get in to get their beer, so they would look at each other and they would share friendship by breaking the ice on the door to get in through the door.
Are you suggesting that they got into the pub through the power of friendship?
Well, more through suplexing the ice on the door.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, they would bond over, because they'd be arguing because they'd be all tetchy. I want my Guinness. I want my, Boddingtons or whatever. And they would break the ice on the door and they would become friends through doing that.
The fact that you chose Guinness and Boddingtons tells us what kind of a man you are, Dan.
What kind of age I am. Yeah.
As much as I love the idea of Ye Olde Arctic Tavern...
I know, I don't like the way this sentence is going. Cut.
I genuinely can't believe I'm saying this, but it's going to Joey. What it was there's a bit of sort of and ahhing over whether this is the origin or not, but I'm going with it because I like it.
So you could still be right, Dan.
I'm calling for VAR here now then, yeah.
So before the invention of modern transportation vehicles, trade ships would get stuck in the winter ice when they're, coming over the top or down through the bottom. So they would send smaller ships known as icebreakers out to basically carve a way through for the big ships. I don't know how a smaller ship would be better at breaking ice than a big ship, but here we are.
It's because they have bombs on them and they can suplex polar bears much easier on them.
I silently swore there because now you've said that, I actually knew that.
Wow.
Yeah,
but I preferred the answer I gave to anything, even the real one.
Yeah. I do like yours.
Okay, so my one has two origins.
Have you given yourself the points there? Sorry, Joey.
I gave myself the points a long time. Dan, I'm starving for points here. I will take them as soon as they come to me.
That being famine.
It's that point famine of 1989. This one has two, and I'll give you 2 points if you get either of them. Okay? So this is rubbed up the wrong way.
Now remember what kind of show this is.
I was going to say, this is one where we have to be careful.
So to rub someone up the wrong way, it just means to annoy them.
Much like Joey's doing to Dan right now.
Have you got an answer, Alex?
I have a very loose idea.
All right, let's hear yours first.
I'm going to say that a king or some sort of higher authority hired a masseuse. They didn't do a very good job, and he proceeded to execute them. Because that's what kings do. Mm-hmm. And that's the story. There's no funny bean or anything like that.
It's because they rubbed them poorly with...
The masseuse did a bad job, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And the king went, I didn't like that.
Sounds better than the one I was going to say. The only thing that's hit me was... So it's... Let's say king or queen then, because there's that level of authority. So say they had like a velvet jacket or velvet robe and you're supposed to rub it downwards to keep it all looking nice, but their courtier, whatever you call them, rubbed upwards and downwards so it looked like a lawn after it's been cut by a flymo. And they didn't like it, and so they said, you've rubbed me up the wrong way.
Casting Views, proudly sponsored by Flymo.
I'll take it if you're listening, Flymo. I'll take it.
Do you know what? I need to give it to Dan. I'm going to give you 1 point, but you are much closer than you think. So, one of the origins is that well-to-do families' homes, when they had oak floor beams, they would need to be cleaned in a certain way. And if the maid cleaned the floor in the wrong direction, it would leave streaks in the floor. and this would leave the lady of the house annoyed or upset, hence she was rubbed up the wrong way, referring to her flaws.
So you'd have to clean with the grain rather than
Exactly.
over it, yeah.
The other origin is cats. If you stroke a cat the wrong way, it annoys them.
Where's my cat?
Yeah.
No cats were annoyed in this recording of Casting Views.
Yeah. Okay.
So it had nothing to do with murder.
No, sorry.
I thought yours
Murder or
sounded
massages.
far more plausible. Okay. Right, my next one is to steal someone's thunder. So, we've probably all said it as well, or done it, or had it done to us, where you're going to do something and somebody beats you to it, so or reveals something before you do it. So, yeah, to steal someone's thunder.
So I think, and this isn't going to be a stupid one, I think that with thunder, first there is lightning. So it's referring to seeing lightning first, and then you hear the thunder. So the lightning is beating the thunder to being apparent to people. That's my guess.
Okay.
I can
That's
come
a
up with
lot
a dumb one
smarter
if
than
you want.
No, that's your answer.
Okay.
That's your answer.
So I've recently watched the Percy Jackson films, and one of the stories in those films is literally Percy Jackson stealing the spark of Zeus. I think it's got something in Greek origins, because I believe that there is a Greek story of someone stealing the thunder from Zeus.
You've made this difficult because neither of you are right.
Shocker.
So tell you what, let's go through the answer, and by that point, I'll have worked out which one of you will hate me less if I give the other person the points. So the phrase originates in a story from the 18th century when playwright John Dennis invented a new machine called a thunder sheet for creating storm sounds on stage for his play Appius and Virginia. Sadly, the cutting-edge special effects weren't enough to save the play, which was a flop. But later, Dennis heard that the same venue was using his machine for a production of Macbeth without his permission. According to the story, the furious writer declared, "The villains will play my thunder, but not my plays." They had stolen his thunder.
Don't you make thunder sounds by just getting a sheet of
Yeah.
metal and go wah, 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 wah?
That also doesn't line up with the saying itself.
It kind of is, because you're taking someone else's glory. That's what
His glory, yeah.
Okay.
stealing someone's thunder is like. Oh, Joey had this really good idea for an episode, so Dan decided to do it and stole his thunder.
That's what it says. So it says you preempt someone else's achievement with one of your own, thus robbing them of the praise. So yeah, he's saying the villains will play my thunder, but not my plays. They had stolen his thunder. So I think, having read it out, I do feel it aligns more with Alex.
Yes,
I feel
there's
because he
theft
said someone stole Zeus's thunder, so they're stealing thunder. Joey, look at me. Joey, don't. Joey's not making eye contact.
You're giving him the point based on the fact that he said the saying.
Well, he said that if you just
No. This is back to profiteroles stuffed with beans like Tim wanted on his silly little dinner party. Not that I'm bitter. Months
this
on.
was such a good idea. This was such a good idea on Discord.
The death of the friendship between Dan and Cassie, and my God, two blokes for lighty.
Yeah, but which group's leaving the PodPack Collective then?
Well, that's true.
It's all right. Remember, it's all to play for in I was going to say in the ready money round. It's all to play for.
Round. Okay, cool.
Right, Alex, you're next.
Let's go with It Ain't Over Till the Fat Lady Sings. Let's keep with the theatre.
Joey, I will hand over to you.
So, I think that being a larger lady, you could probably I'm not saying I am a larger lady. Being a larger lady myself, I know that you can hit better notes when you are large. You can hit louder, more sustained, and probably higher notes because you're used to singing for big dinners. I don't know.
German operas.
But I think that at the end of operas, they would bring out the big lady as the kind of, look how incredible this ending is. And then when she hits that incredible ending note, the curtain will drop and they will end the show.
See, I was going to say that, so I'm going to have to do a different one. I'm going to say, once upon a time, there was an opera, and when the larger-than-life lady started singing her part of the opera, the theatre fell down. Maybe there was an earthquake. It destroyed. That's it. It destroyed the theatre. They had to stop the play. So the opera. So it wasn't over until she started singing because the earthquake struck and destroyed the theatre. Boom. Give me the points.
What year was that in? 1989.
1987.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I do like that you've both gone for opera, but it is wrong. I don't know. I don't know if the. It's weird because the origin I've got is from 1976. We are talking real recent, but obviously it is a well-known thing of like at the end of certain operas there would be a larger-than-life lady with a horned helmet who would ring out an absolute belter of a note and then finito. Apparently, it was first known in the media to have been used by the Dallas Morning News on March 10th, 1976, when Ralph Carpenter said of a match between the Red Raiders and the Texas Aggies, which is an interesting name, the opera ain't over until the fat lady sings, because the match was, I think it was a score of like 72-72, and people were already calling the match a tie at that point. And then, but I think one of the teams, I think it was the Raiders, then did go on to actually win the match in the last minute. So
isn't their nickname the Earthquakes, isn't it?
Sure, why not?
I wonder where the points are going here.
Yeah, the problem is now I've got to think who to give it to. I'm going to give it to Joey because large ladies unite.
Being both large ladies ourselves.
We are both large ladies.
Dan, you look perturbed.
It's my show. It's my ball. I'm taking it.
But I feel like for this one I should have done more research because I was on the same vein as you guys. I was on the same vein of you guys of this came from opera, but apparently not. And the fact it's from 76 is wild.
Right. Dan, if you're trying to goad Alex into giving you more points, you're barking up the wrong tree.
Oh, I think I see what you've done there.
And that is my next saying, barking up the wrong tree. Which means you're looking in the wrong place for something, basically.
Alex, do you want to go first?
Well, so I had an idea for this, but now I've just had another idea, and I think I'm going to run with my other idea. I think that at some point back in the day, the police were chasing a suspect of, I don't know, a murder or a drug smuggling or something like that, and said baddie climbed up a tree to hide and then threw the offensive item to a different tree, so the police dog went, oh, he's up that tree. And he waited up the tree until the police went, no, he's not there, we must have lost him.
That was going to be similar to mine, so I've actually just thought of a brilliant one as you were saying my answer.
So either way, you get the point, is what you're saying.
So imagine this, right? There's a forest of differing trees that have had, there's a hurricane or something, and it's destroyed the tree and it's ripped the bark off all the trees. And people have gone to fix the trees up by putting the bark back on the trees. But they've put it on the wrong one. And someone says, you're barking up the wrong tree.
The thing is, that is just mental enough to be believable.
I really like that answer, Dan. I'm going to give you a point. It's wrong, but it's imaginative enough to... I just like the way that you didn't take the barking as literally as it actually is. So in 1800s America, when hunting with packs of dogs was really popular, the term was used when wily prey animals such as raccoons would trick dogs into believing they were up a certain tree when in fact they had actually escaped. So the hunting dogs were quite literally barking up the wrong tree.
I mean, raccoons look like little criminals. So...
They do, and they often throw their drugs from one tree to another.
Well-known fact about them.
That would make them a foolish felon.
All right, look, we've got 2 more rounds left, so let's... Sorry, I've just got what you said there, Joe. I'm not sure when this episode goes out, but it'll be after that. So if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to the episode Joey and I did called Foolish Felons. You'll love it, honest. Right, we've got 2 rounds. So let's do this next one, and then we'll have a score update before the final one.
No,
so
we've got 1 round.
No, it's okay. We've got Dan's one, and then we've got a full final round.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, no, I've got 2 left. So yeah. I'll have to do some funny, clever editing to make me not.
I was scared for a second there.
Yeah. Oh, did you not get the extra memo? Right.
No.
So I have got to be under the weather.
Under the weather.
Under the weather.
Which is obviously to feel ill and a bit bleh. For lack of a better term.
Alex, I think you can go first this time.
I'm going to link it to another phrase, another well-known phrase, and I'm going to figure out how I'm linking it as I go along. I'm going to link it to the phrase of raining on someone's parade, because obviously the phrase raining on someone's parade is someone's got this big achievement, they're feeling really good, you say something and you make them feel bad about it, raining on someone's parade. And I think when you're feeling ill or under the weather, the bad bacteria in your body have taken your good mood and made it really bad. And that's fill in the blanks yourselves because I'm out.
So your answer is...
Don't try and explain it. I don't think there's an answer there.
Actually, Joey, please help me out with your answer again.
That was the ramblings of an insane man.
So I think that when you're ill, you have a temperature, right? And when you have a temperature, you're hot. Now, in 1989, they had loads of time because they weren't picking beans in the fields. So when someone was ill, their friend, Tom Weatherman, made a device that went over their bed, and if you're ill and you have a temperature, you could pull a chain, like an old-style toilet chain, and it would release droplets of water like rain over your head, and it would cool you down. So by being in that rain, you were feeling ill and therefore under the weather.
I really like that. And weirdly, because this has got 2, I think I might have to give you the points on that. But only
2 points?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're keeping the score. As long as it
Why
keeps
not? What's the worst that can happen?
As long as it keeps everything nice and close. I was going to ask to give points to the person who was slightly behind to bring us all up to a bit of a even.
No, don't give me points for my answer. Don't do that.
There's also it depends on how literally you say slightly behind, because there is quite a gap between first and third.
Well, give yourself the points because there are 2 things here, right? In the days of sailing ships, the weather bow or rail was the part of the ship that faced directly into bad weather. During a storm, this was the worst place to be since it was most buffeted by the wind. So the original saying was under the weather bow, which meant in a poor situation or ill, and later became shortened to under the weather. There's a competing explanation that claims that ill sailors would be sent below deck to recover. They were said to be sent under the weather rail, which is where the connection with illness may come from. Now, where I said yours, I'll give it to you because of this. There's another explanation that originates from the fact that when a ship pulled into port because of a storm, it docked under stress of weather. So being under the weather was connected with being in some sort of trouble. And because you mentioned the water being sprayed was like rain droplets, weather, I'll give you that for that.
You're a very generous man, Dan. Very generous man. Do you want a score update?
Yeah, I want to hear Alex's objection first. But...
No, I was just going to say that's a very loose connection, but I have no place to say that this round.
I think Tom Weatherman's incredible weather feel better hat, which makes you, it's a hat by the way, which makes you feel better by spraying you with water.
There you go. And I've just noticed I was sitting here in the dark, so my screen is lighting my face up in like quite a horror movie kind of vibe. So what's the scores then? Yeah.
In third place, and hold your horses here, guys, because this might be a surprise, it's me with 4 points. Closely ahead is Alex with 7, and Dan has a healthy lead with 10.
Oof.
Well, that's fine, because I reckon this round, my one might award 15 points or whatever it is that you might need to win. So let's go. Let's carry on. So Alex, what's your final phrase?
Devil in the details, which is obviously a meaning of a mysterious element can be hidden in something quite obvious that will solve the case, kind of thing. If you look really hard at something, you will find that one thing you need.
Do you want me to go first? Because I don't know the real answer, but I already have a ridiculous one ready for you.
If you've got a ridiculous one, let's go for it.
In days of your 1980s, there was a tradition of lawyers making sure that their clients read the contracts that they were writing for them. They thought, what is the point in me spending all this time writing a contract if you're not even going to read it before you sign it? So in order to make sure that they did it, they drew a tiny little devil in one of the contracts. And if they didn't say, this content looks pretty good, but there is a little devil in the details, then they knew they hadn't read it. So the little picture of the devil going and pointing at the person.
Devil's well known for that noise.
Yeah. So that devil in the contract is the devil within the details.
Do you know, weirdly, that was, again, going to be very similar to mine.
You should be worried that that's the case now.
Yeah. I told you I listened to your pod too much. Okay, so I'm going to say similar-ish, that is going to be based on contracts or what used to be used as contracts, and to basically to confuse or trick people. You know, they often say, like, if you over-elaborate on a lie, that's the easiest way to know someone's lying. I'm basically going to say that people used to throw so many words and overcomplicate contracts and texts to put people off from seeing the devil hidden in it.
Almost like a he doth protest too much kind of situation.
Yeah.
I hate how close Joey was with it.
Ooh.
I really don't like it. Right, so it's connected to an earlier phrase, which was God is in the details. But Devil in the Details is said to have spawned from World War II, surprisingly. So Joey's really close with the date as well, which I'm not happy about. It was close enough. So it's said that there was a meeting between foreign ministers in Europe who had to make important decisions about negotiating and assisting countries that had been devastated by World War II. And at some point, this, I think he was a journalist or an accountant of the meeting who was taking the minutes, wrote something about the devil is in the details of it all. So a point's going to go to Joey, because he was relatively close with it's not a contract, it was a meeting, but it was close enough. It was a group of people looking at the specifics of something, and he was relatively close with the date. Once
again, I feel like I'm getting a you participated set of points. There was no drawings of tiny little devils, which
you don't know that. You didn't see the accounts.
Well, the devil's in the details, so
See, I wasn't initially going to say that the first letter of every sentence spelt devil.
Very good. That is much better than what I said.
But then you said that and it felt too similar.
Mine is so niche now that if you get it right, I'm going to give you 100 points because you should win if you get this bang on. So to butter someone up.
God.
So to butter someone up is like pay them compliments and to make them feel like they're the number one guy or gal.
To be fair, I'm glad you're asking us. I'm glad you're asking us rather than us asking you what this could be.
Well, that is true. This is my favourite one I saved. It was first on my list, but I saved it for last.
I haven't got a clue. But someone up is to give someone compliments. To get them to do something for you often, isn't it?
Yes.
Have you got an answer, Alex?
Please.
Yeah, so butter is obviously, in cooking terms, it's
I've
a
got
fact.
Mine. Sorry. I've just got mine.
In cooking terms, butter is a fat, and back in the day, fats like that used to be very expensive. So something butter was used as bribes. You wanted someone to do something, so you went, "I'll give you 10 sticks of butter for it."
Okay, cool.
Whereas
Dan?
And now that I've said it, I sound insane.
No, because I haven't quite fully formed mine, but I'm thinking, so in days of yore, 1975, people used to eat plain bread, which wasn't that satisfying. Or say if people wanted a snack, they would say, here, have this slice of plain bread. And so what they used to do to make the bread more appealing, they would butter the bread up and give it to the person, so it made it seem much nicer to do. And that person in return would be so happy that they had this buttered up piece of bread that they would then say, hi, do you need any jobs done?
That's really good. I like it. You'd be surprised how close one of you is.
It's going to be Alex.
You'd be surprised because it's neither of you. You are both so far away. It's unreal.
That's mean.
Dan, we've been on enough of these to know that this is how I roll. It appeared at the end of the 18th century, and it comes from an ancient Hindu tradition of throwing balls of ghee butter at statues of gods in order to ask them for favours.
Oh, we were both far away, weren't we?
I'm sorry, but if someone came up and threw a ball of ghee at me, I wouldn't be doing them any favours.
Ghee's delicious. I'd be all over them like a hot rash.
Yeah, but it'd be on the floor.
So would I.
God.
Sorry for lowering the tone.
So who gets the point?
You both get a point.
Okay. All right. What's that make the score at the moment?
So in third place is Joey on 5. In second is Alex with 8. And Dan, you have a whopping 11 points.
Okay. All right. So my last one is the one you said at the start, is pulling my leg. Now, I've got 2 of these. Oh, sorry, there is 2 answers, and I'm not pulling your leg on that one. Hey. So to pull one's leg, pulling my leg.
Well, the saying is like, you're having me on, right? Which is another saying, actually. It means you're not being serious with me here.
You chatting guff.
Chatting guff is the most northern thing that's ever been said on this podcast. You're chatting guff, lad.
Chatting pure guff.
So I think this harks back to the days of yonder, just after the Second World War, so the 50s. And there were loads of amputees in... I was going to try and say somewhere
hospitals?
that wasn't British. In Skegness is where it originated. So in Skegness, and these amputees organised a holiday together, and they wanted to get ice cream, and the ice cream was really expensive. So he went, that's 40 quid for an ice cream. And the amputee had lost his whole leg up to his hip. And he said, do you want to grab the wallet out of my pocket? And the ice cream vendor goes to take the wallet, but it wasn't really in that pocket because he says, I'm not getting that. But he's actually pulls off his artificial leg. So he says, look, mate, you're pulling my leg here. There's no way it's 40 quid.
Moving swiftly on to Alex.
I can smell those points already.
Nothing I can say is going to be better than that. I think this is a bit of... placebo effect voodoo medicine type thing where athletes back in not quite yonder but not quite your
60s, yeah.
Yeah, 60s, but before a marathon or some kind of race, some pseudo doctor would say, you know, I can make you run faster if you let me pull your legs.
And euphemism.
Not only 2 of them, Joey, but you get to pick which 2.
Okay.
I'm
closest, aren't I?
Well, I'm thinking...
if you're closest, I'll jump out the window.
Well, I'm going to say neither of you are close, I think.
Yes.
But I'm going to have to give it, to rectify sort of the meanness, the uncomfortable feeling I had after the dinner party episode, I'm going to give Joey 7 points for his answer.
Alex is gone. He's gone.
So Joey, if you could give yourself 7 points. I mean, there were two sayings here. One quite macabre, actually, but they're both saying that there's no evidence to support either of these, which is why I might as well have just picked one of you. So the first one, Yeah, no, that's So the first one
Just the
is
wrong one.
the first one is that thieves in Victorian London. So what was that? 2001, 2000.
Yeah, 2012.
But thieves in Victorian London would pull at people's legs to trip them up, and then use the victim's disorientation as an opportunity to rob them. So that's number one. The second one, which is more macabre, and again, they're saying that there seems to be no logic in this in terms of why it would be used for that, the way we use it now. But they were saying in Tyburn in 1783, it was the principal place of execution in England. Many notables were hanged there. And so the pulling my leg theory is that people, the so-called hangers-on, were hired at the Tyburn executions to hang on to the victim's leg in order to give them a quick end.
Do you know,
I have
I've actually
heard that
that
before.
before.
You heard that, yeah?
Yeah.
The place I got this from said it bears no relation to the expression's meaning. And secondly, the expression wasn't known during the centuries when public hangings took place. But,
Oh, you cheeky devil, you're pulling my leg, you are. Oh, stop it.
That was the last one, and you got 7 points. So, Joey, what does that do to the scores?
So, in third place, drum roll please, is Alex with 8 points.
Oh, well
I'm
played,
not coming
Alex.
back on this show.
In second place was the lovely Dan with 11 points.
I was robbed on my own show.
In first place, and graciously winning champion is Joey with 12 points.
Alex, we know we won.
Ole, ole, ole.
This would have never happened if we brought Tim on.
God, I'm so
Congratulations,
humble.
Joey, on winning the first of the Casting Views quiz.
Thank you. I'd like to thank my fans and Dan, because they are one and the same person.
Yeah, the fans behind you.
Whee!
Oh, look, thank you very much for entertaining this idea. I've had a great load of fun tonight.
Yes, good.
I think we should just mention again that we are not professionals in any of these fields. Apart from Joey, he is actually a professional entomologist.
I am.
Well, I was going to say, hopefully you've learned something by listening to this, but I'm not sure what the odds of that are. So
yeah, don't bring Joey on.
I've been thinking in the last couple of rounds, because there are so many of these, I do want to do a part 2 of these. So we will be back soon at some point to do part 2. So
maybe Tim can come to that one and you can see what true insanity looks like.
All right, look, guys, do you just want to, which one of you is going to do the shout out for all your pods?
Alex can do it because he's brand new and never done it before.
Excuse my French. There's your censor for the day. You can find us at the Game Club Pod, where every 2 weeks we review video games, much like a book club. You can also find a plethora of other shows on that channel, including 2 Blocks from Blighty, where you can see Joey and the aforementioned Tim be mental. Anime Corner, where Slade, Jacka, and Sky talk anime. And Driveway Beers, where Slade and Will chill out, have a drink, and just talk about whatever's on their mind. You can also find us over at the PodPack Collective with the lovely Dan and various other very, 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 very talented podcasters. I'm out.
You should prioritise those over Game Club Pod. Ours is pure drivel.
Don't listen to him. If you're not already, go over right now and subscribe to the Game Club Pod feed. Honestly, there's something for all moods, I think, on that channel. Once again, look, honestly, it's brilliant having you two on. So thank you very much for that. For me, I tend not to, my intros actually, as well as my outros, are random and all over the place. So I haven't said this for a while, but you're listening to me, so you know where to find me. But if you want to get in touch with me, look for Casting Views across all social media or drop me an email at castingviewspod@gmail.com. See you next week for another episode.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
If I want your opinion, I will give it to you. Come on, check what we got, 'cause you